Well, I think what's been interesting to watch as Terry's wife is he's a double board certified surgeon. He started as a general surgeon, cracking chests open, gunshot wounds, all that. Then he goes into plastic and reconstruction. And, before Botched, there were a few years where he definitely was, I hate to use the word bored, but I feel like disillusioned. Like he was just doing these people that would come to his office and like, micro things. I like it better here, not here. I like this, not that. Like these little things that he just felt like, gosh, so much training.
To suck fat out of tummies.
Yeah.
It seemed like a waste.
Right. Like he was very disillusioned. And I hated seeing him not love what he did anymore. But when Botched started, it literally reinvigorated him, his whole practice, not just the Botched patients, every patient that he does. Let's face it, even your private practice is mostly doing Botched patients. But it took him back to what he loves doing, which is helping people and fixing people and being such an important member of society as a doctor. And that's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, well, that's a lot more exciting than just sucking fat out of.
And not just exciting, but like helping people.
And speaking of TV shows, I have to say, Hot in Cleveland, one of the best shows also ever. Talking about scripted.
Yeah, it's always better to have a script in my hand. I got to tell you, it's more fun sometimes. But, I've been able to do some scripted TV in the last couple of years, which has been great. But I'm so grateful of all of the ways we can make content these days, because it's really allowed me to be home with the kids.
Totally. And you love doing your podcast. You just, because a lot of, we won't mention any names, housewives, because I speak to them all, that have gone on to podcasts have said to me, well, I'm doing this and I'm going to keep doing this, but I fucking hate it. So a lot of the housewives
That's so interesting. Well, I was honestly one of the first females to start in the podcasting world. I mean, there were a lot of men, Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew and so many people guys that were doing podcasts, but I was really one of the first women that got to doing it. My agent had called me and he was like, you need to do a podcast. I'm like, great idea. What is that? I had no idea what it was. And so when I started doing it, I was like, wow, this is cool. This is just a way to hang out with people. And I thought I needed segments and bits and this whole thing. And I spoke to my buddy, Drew Pinsky, Dr. Drew, and he goes, no, people just want to hang out with you for an hour. It's really all it's about. And I went, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. And I went, okay. And then I started doing it. And 5 years later, it's still going really strongly and I'm enjoying it. And I love being with my audience and getting the feedback from them. And it's fun because when I go out in the world, that's what people come up to me and talk about mostly. I listen to the podcast. I love when you talk about this, or I don't have kids yet, but you've been such a mom figure to me, all those kinds of things, which make you feel great.
And in a way, like to me, it's like the opposite of Housewives. Like what you were talking about, you have this moment, you had this emotion, you're like, where is it? It's on the cutting room floor. This is really like, you're seeing Heather and you're getting your point across. There is no cutting room floor unless you decide there is.
Yeah, and I don't edit, so there really isn't.